Good evening. We'll wait for everybody to jump online here. Give a few seconds. Participants are logging on. Okay. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for watching tonight. My name is Jessica Schultz, and I'm a student success advisor with ICANN. And ICANN is a nonprofit organization that empowers Iowans to find success in college and career. And today's webinar, we'll be talking about paying for college, the financial aid process. And I know, this topic can be a little overwhelming. I get it. So I'm going to provide you with a guide to that process, a guide to financial aid. Now, my goal is to help you feel confident as you navigate, the cost of college, completing FAFSA applications, and comparing financial aid offers. So hopefully by the end of this session, you'll have a clear understanding of the process and your next steps you will need to take in financial aid. So as I progress throughout the PowerPoint, I will be referring to a few items linked in your reminder emails. So when you signed on to the webinar, you should have received an email, I believe it was yesterday and then an hour before as well. An email came to you with these three items here. The How to Pay for College Guide, this booklet right here, this is a good one. Okay, everything in my PowerPoint here will be in this guide. Okay, so if you want to circle back and review a few items, it'll be in here. Another thing that was included is this ready to file the FAFSA form. All right, so everything here is a nice guide on what you and your student will need when you sit down to complete that form online. Everything you'll need to file the FAFSA, and then on the back of the form, or if you scroll down, if you're looking online on the bottom of it, it will have the most commonly asked questions that we get at ICANN every day. So we'll be going over those. And then what I've also included is the junior senior countdown calendar. Okay, kind of a step-by-step on what students should be doing on a month-to-month basis to get ready for life after high school. Okay, all right, I got you, Crystal. If you did not receive these in your email, okay, that was my next quote that I was going to tell you here. I went ahead and put those in the chat for you. Okay, I got those in the chat. And also, if you did not, if you can't pull those down from the chat, not a problem. You can also go to our website. It's icansucceed.org right here. Okay, icansucceed.org. In the upper right-hand corner where it says resource library up here, that's where you can access those three items at any time. Now, this webinar is going to be recorded, so I'm also going to have a lot of people that are watching the recording because we're going to put this on our YouTube channel. We're going to put this on our website as well. So for those of you that are watching the recording, access these three items right here in our resource library. Okay, you can also access all of our other handouts and all of our other booklets there as well. Okay, ICANN puts out a lot of information about college and career planning, the trades and things like that. So that's all there for you. And while I'm on our website here, go ahead and take a look at this in your spare time because we have a lot of great information, college career planning, and links to free scholarship searches. So, check that out in your spare time. Now, here's here's our advising services. So basically, we will help students with a wide variety of assistance here. First, we start with career exploration. We can help students with identifying their career interests, potential career paths. From there, we can guide students and parents in planning the education and training needed to reach those goals. Same thing with college exploration as well. But I say the majority of appointments really consist with helping families with that FAFSA application, filling out that free application for federal student aid, where the financial aid process starts. Now we can do this in our office, or we can do it virtually through Zoom. We have two different options on how we can assist you. And also, in addition to that, my favorite appointment or service that we offer is this one right here, is the covering college costs. And this is where parents and students will bring in financial aid offers in the spring of their senior year. And then we get together and then we review those financial aid offers to see what is the best financial fit for the family. Now, I use an online tool called the College Funding Forecaster for that, and I'll share that with you later. This is where I break down the financial aid offer, and we can calculate the true out-of-pocket cost for each college, so we can compare them apples to apples, so to speak. So it's a really nice process that we will go through. So you can schedule an in-person or virtual appointment with us free of charge. Here are all of our locations. I'm out of the Ankeny location, Des Moines Area Community College. So it'd be myself and Eric Danielson. So we're out of the Central Iowa location. But we have a host of different locations across the state, and I'll bring this slide up at the end as well. Okay, so this is on our website too at icansucceed.org. Okay. Now, as I go throughout the as the PowerPoint today, go ahead and throw any questions that you have into the chat box, and I'll be sure to get to those as we progress throughout the PowerPoint. Right. So here's the overview. This is what we're going to talk about tonight. So first, we're going to do a breakdown of what financial aid actually is, the different types available. Next, we'll look at the FAFSA process. This includes the FAFSA itself. I will go over the most commonly asked questions that we get at ICANN every day. We'll break those down. After that, we'll discuss the financial aid offers and what type of aid may be on those offers. We could get aid from state, federal, institutional aid. We'll go through all of those. Okay. And then we'll talk about how to read and compare those letters so you can understand the true out-of-pocket costs or the true different costs. Okay. It takes to attend each college. And finally, we'll cover the steps to finalize that aid and making an informed decision on which one is going to be the best fit. So students will have the best, not only academic fit, the best social fit, and then the last part of that puzzle, the best financial fit, what's going to work best for us. So first one, we're getting ready for college. Okay, so getting ready for college. Let's talk about applying to college and financial aid. Here's a list of activities students should be completing right now. Okay, so just a quick rundown. Students right now, and by the way, this is geared to seniors, to our seniors. Okay, all this right here are ready to file the FAFSA, all these dates, the taxes, all this stuff. This is going to be geared towards seniors. If I have any junior or junior parents on here, just add a year to it. Okay, so for example, I have 2024 taxes for our seniors. Junior parents, it's 2025 taxes. Just add a year to it. Okay. So right now, students, you're submitting applications to all colleges that you're considering. Okay, you're getting your applications in. Beware of the application deadlines, making sure you're meeting all the admissions requirements. If they're requiring an essay, you're writing that, you're having somebody look over, double checking that. You're getting your letters of recommendation in order, making sure you're submitting the correct tests if they want an ACT or an SAT, if they want an AccuPlacer, if they want an Alex math test, what kind of tests are they requesting, making sure that is all in order. When it comes to financial aid, okay, you're going to submit the FAFSA here shortly. Okay, also we're going to be looking at grants and scholarships and the CSS profile if needed. The CSS profile is just an extra financial aid application in addition to the FAFSA. Not all schools will ask for that. Only certain schools will ask for that. Okay, we'll talk about those schools later. Now let's put a timeline to that. We know what to do. Now let's put it in order in terms of a timeline. So from July to August, we're completing admissions applications. That's what we're doing right now. October to December, that's when FAFSA season hits. That's where we're going to fill out that free application for federal student aid, and we're filling out college scholarship applications. But we're always looking and listening for that free money, okay? Anytime somebody says scholarship, the S word, where, who, what, who's got a scholarship? We're grabbing that application, okay? And we're just going to look at the requirements. Maybe if the scholarship isn't even out yet or due yet, that's okay. Still grab that application and look at the requirements. What do we need to have in order to complete that application? You could start working on the requirements now. Okay, so free money, you're always looking for free money at all times. There's never really a start date or an end date for scholarships, always scholarships. Okay. December, April, same thing. Other scholarship applications, that's usually the high school scholarships, may start, after January 1st. May, we're accepting college admissions. We're accepting those telling the colleges, yes, we want to go ahead. We're going to go to your school, and we're accepting or declining financial aid offers. Accepting financial aid offers, accepting the awards, or declining them. Meaning, if you don't want a loan, you can decline that loan, guys. You do not have to take out a loan. That's what that means by declining an award offer. College orientation, that's in June, July. Then students, you'll want to sign up and attend your college orientation. Very important. Kind of get the lay of the land of that college. Sometimes colleges will let you move into your dorm room, or your college freshmen can go to college at least a week ahead of time. So you can get there before all the upperclassmen do. So you can get acclimated to your college before everybody else moves in. And then next August, it's go time. That's when we're starting college. Okay, so that's pretty much the timeline and how it works. Follow this, guys. This countdown calendar is really great, okay? Because again, a month to month, step by step on what you should be doing to get ready for life, okay? Okay. All right. So I just have a question here. One second. You're applying to college now. She's planning to retake the ACT in October to try and raise the score. Okay, so we have a question on an ACT test, if they should apply. Yes, when you're doing an ACT test, go ahead and apply, and let them know that you're redoing the ACT test if you need to go ahead and try for a higher score on that ACT. Just know the colleges will always take the highest score achieved. Okay, so a lot of times students will say sometimes, well, I got this score. I don't want to take another test because I don't want to get a lower score. Okay, that's okay. The colleges will always look at the highest score achieved. So if we take one, you take it again, and they'll take that higher score if you get that higher score achieved. So that's a good question. Yeah, go ahead and submit it. If you have questions on that, guys, you can always call the admissions office on that to see if it would be a good idea to get that application in, or maybe wait until you've taken a second and take it that second ACT test. But I've always told students to go ahead and apply, and then once you take that second ACT test and it's a higher score, they'll accept that second one. Okay, good question. Okay. Moving on, understanding financial aid. All right, let's break this down. What is financial aid? So we got two types of financial aid. We got gift aid and self-help aid. All right, let's break these down. Gift aid, that's our friends. We want to get as much as that as possible. Gift aid is free money that does not have to be repaid. That's our grants and scholarships. Again, those are our friends. There's two ways we can get gift aid. Okay, it's either going to be merit-based or need-based. Merit-based gift aid means that the student must do something good in order to achieve that aid, whether it be by a high ACT score, GPA, extracurricular activities. They must earn that gift aid. That's merit-based aid. The need-based gift aid will come from the outcome of the FAFSA. So in most cases, the outcome of that FAFSA will dictate whether or not the student receives that need-based gift aid. So I know most of us have all heard of a Pell Grant before. The Pell Grant is an example of a need-based gift aid. Okay, so those are the two differences of the gift aid: merit-based and need-based. That's how we can win those. Now, self-help aid, self-explanatory. The student must do something to help themselves pay for college. Loans. A student will take out a loan to pay for college. Okay, borrow now, pay back later. Most common type of student loan will be the federal direct student loan in the student's own name, and we'll speak about those loans later. Then we got a work study, a good job on campus, and then other employment. The student can go ahead and work and pay cash as they progress throughout their 2 or 4 years of college. So that is self-help aid. So those are the two different types of financial aid. I want to make sure everybody knows that this all falls under the financial aid umbrella, including loans. I just talked to a parent today who said, we apply for financial aid every year, but we don't get anything. And I say, I'll bet you do. I'll bet you get something. And they said, no, we don't get anything at all. And I said, does a student qualify for a student loan? I said, well, yeah, they get the loan. That's financial aid. Loans are part of financial aid. Okay, so when parents say we don't get anything, more than not, they're referring to the free stuff, the grants and the scholarships. But when your college speaks in terms of financial aid or financial assistance, I want you to be aware that they're also including loans in financial aid. Okay, that's something to be aware of when you're listening to them talk about financial aid. Okay, the breakdown of college costs. Let's go over that real quick. When colleges do talk about that cost of attendance, now they're referring to the estimated total cost of 1 year at their institution. This includes both direct costs, which are billed by the college, and indirect costs, which are expenses the student will have, but not necessarily billed by the college itself. So the direct costs will include things like your tuition, fees, housing and food, which is the new room and board. The indirect costs are things such as books, supplies, transportation, personal expenses that vary by college, vary by student, but they're important to budget for. Okay. Now, families often will see what they call a sticker price. This is the sticker price versus a net price here. So a lot of times we're fixated by that sticker price. Okay. And it can be overwhelming because sometimes the sticker price can be quite high, right? But what really matters is the net price, which is the cost after scholarships and grants are applied. The net price is usually much lower than the published sticker price. So I want everybody to be aware of that. And I'll have an example of that later. And it gives it, the net price will give a much more accurate picture of what you'll actually pay. Okay. So students, you can look at the net price calculators available on every college's website to estimate the real out-of-pocket cost. So you have a direct link here on our website at icansucceed.org/NPC. That'll go right to the college's net price calculator. So you can get a head start to see on what, your cost will be, on what your out-of-pocket cost, I should say, will be if you decide to go to that college before you even apply for FAFSA and get the financial aid offer back. Okay, those are called net price calculators. Now the FAFSA process. Okay, let's break that down. What are we going to do? How do we apply for financial aid? The first step in applying for financial aid is to complete a free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA for short. The FAFSA is just a snapshot of the family's financial situation the day you and your students sit down at the computer to file that form online. So the day you file that FAFSA online, what are we looking at as far as household, adjusted gross income, wages, tips, and salaries, the value of the household, assets and investment, household size? All of those things will be factored into that FAFSA application. And you're going to do that on the website studentaid.gov. That's the correct website, studentaid.gov. Guys, stay off the .coms. Stay away from FAFSA.com, file your free aid here.com, blah, blah, blah.com. Stay away from the .coms, okay? You're going to go to studentaid.gov. That is the correct website, okay? So there's some scam websites out there that will help you file the FAFSA and say, we'll get you the best offer. We can show you how to lower your SAI, hide assets, blah, blah. No, they can't. They're scam websites. Don't go to those. It's studentaid.gov is the correct one here. Now, this will open every fall, okay? And it must be filled out every academic year you plan to enroll in college, or I'd say every academic year you want to receive financial aid. How about that? Okay, every year the student would like to receive financial aid, yes, you must fill out a FAFSA application. It's required for federal aid, meaning the federal Pell Grant, a federal direct loan, which is a loan in the student's name only, and it's also required for some state and institutional aid. So I work with some parents every year that, they know they make too much for Pell Grant, they know they don't want to borrow a direct student loan, but the student will receive a scholarship from that college. And the college says, all right, well, we still want a FAFSA on file just in case. So the college is, the student's receiving a scholarship, and the college says, yep, you got this scholarship for $5,000 for your junior year. Congratulations. But before we dole out that scholarship, we'd like to have a FAFSA on file anyway. So sometimes, some colleges are like that where they just want you to fill out a FAFSA anyway, just for that institutional aid. So I always think it's just a good rule of thumb to fill out a FAFSA every year, especially important for incoming freshman students. Just go ahead and complete that form. Now, when to fill out that FAFSA application? Typically beginning October 1st, okay, is when that's going to be available every year. All right, so that's when you can start filling out that application. Now, every school has something called a financial aid priority date. October 1st is not a deadline. At one point in time, parents were thinking that October 1st was the date everybody had to get their FAFSA done by. And we had a lot of people jumping on the website. It would crash the website. So no, October 1st is not a deadline, okay? Or it's not the date that we have to have it done by. In one of the downloads here are on the links that how to pay to college guide, starting on page, I believe it is 8, okay? Starting on page 8, I know this is hard to see, but what we've done is we put all the colleges in Iowa in the booklet for you and some really good information about each one of those schools. The last column is of particular importance because that will include the college's financial aid priority date. That's the date that the college says, hey, we'd like to have that FAFSA in by in order for the student to get in line for our institutional aid, our own grants and scholarships that we may offer the student. Okay, so they are all different. Okay, so some can be as early as December 1st. Our University of Iowa kids, okay, if you want to be a Hawkeye, guys, you got to get that FAFSA in by December 1st. So from now to December 1st, okay, or yeah, October 1st to December 1st, do your FAFSA form, okay? Well, that's for our Hawkeye kids, for Iowa State, for University of Iowa, I'm sorry. Schools like, UNI, that's January 15th. And we have schools all the way from March 15th to July 1st, they're all different, okay? So the priority date is the date that you want to shoot for to get that done. You can apply to up to 20 colleges at a time. And each college may have a different financial aid priority date. File the FAFSA by that earliest priority date of all of those colleges. That way you can ensure getting the student in line for their institutional aid, okay? All right, so what do you need in order to complete the form? So I think the best thing here to download is this nice ready to file the FAFSA guide. Again, it's going to give you a list of items to have in front of you when you sit down to file the form. Now, that being said, let's say if you're missing one of the items that you need, can you save it and come back to the FAFSA later? Absolutely, you can. You can save it and then pick up right back up where you left off and then finish the form. It'll be saved online for you for a number of days, okay? So some items that you need, we'll just go over these quickly. Things like social security number, date of birth, obviously tax return. For seniors, you're going to use the 2024 taxes, parent and student, okay, if filed. Current bank account investment totals. Investment totals, non-retirement investments. We'll go over what's going to be included in the investments, what to include and what not to include for assets on the FAFSA. A net worth of any business and farm, okay, if you have to include it. Some good news on that. I get to share with you for that business and farm. Very good news. Child support, if applicable. And then 20 colleges can be listed there. Okay. So some commonly asked questions that we get at ICANN every day. I'm going to flip this sheet over and we're going to cover these, okay, on the back here. One of the most commonly asked questions I get every day, mostly from students, is returning students is, they'll come to my office and they say, Jess, I've been having to include my parents on my FAFSA for a while now, and I heard that if I get to leave off my parents, I might get more financial aid. When can we leave them off? When can it just be me on my FAFSA application, my info? Now I say, good question. So what happens is you have to answer yes to one of these dependency status questions in order to be independent, meaning to be able to leave off parental information. So for this upcoming FAFSA, we got to answer yes to one of these. So students, were you born before January 1st, 2003? So basically the student must be 24 or turn 24 in that academic year. As of today, are you married when you fill out the FAFSA application? Will they be working on a grad program or master's degree? Are they active duty or a veteran? Does the student have children that they will support more than 50%? Is the student in foster care, ward of the court? Were they an emancipated minor or in a legal guardianship up until the age of 18? At any time after July 1st, were they homeless or at risk of being homeless? Okay. If they answer no to all those questions, they're dependent and they will need parental information represented on their FAFSA form. Okay. So if they can answer yes, though, to one of those questions, let's say that, let's go with this one right here. Maybe parents are no longer in the picture and grandma and grandpa are legal guardians of that student. Okay. So they went to court, they got the legal guardianship paperwork, they're good to go. So that student will answer yes to that question. Yes, I am in a legal guardianship up until the age of 18. Student answers yes to that question, no longer needs to provide any parental information. Don't put grandparent information on there. Student is independent. Okay. Just know though, when that student submits their FAFSA application, that's an automatic flag for the financial aid office. They're going to pull that FAFSA for verification, and they will request proof of that yes, so to speak. They will want documentation of that legal guardianship. So in case they're audited by Department of Ed for compliance, for compliancy rules, they have all their ducks in a row and they're good to go. So every yes will be double checked by the college. Okay, so if we answer yes here, we're independent. If we answer no, we're dependent, which means we need a parent on the FAFSA. Now, who is the parent? Parent slash contributor. Okay, so we're called contributors now. So who is considered a contributor? Well, a contributor is anybody who enters information onto the FAFSA application. So who is considered a parent? This is, again, on the FAFSA application on the bottom here. Now let's go through this real quickly. If both legal parents are married, answer questions about both parents. If both legal parents are unmarried but live together in the same household, we're going to put both the parents on the FAFSA application. If a parent is widowed or single, answer question about that one parent in the household, of course. And that if that parent is remarried, you're going to answer question about that parent and the step parent. Okay, if that parent's remarried, the step parent will count as the second parent. Now, here's the biggest question. What happens if the parents are separated or divorced? All right, so there's two different households here. So let's say the student, when they were a sophomore in high school, parents ended up separating. We got mom over here and dad over here. And they ended up divorcing by the time that the student was a senior. Whose information do we need? Because we don't want to use both parents' information on the FAFSA application. So mom over here, dad over here. So how the FAFSA reads is we need to use the parents' information that provided the majority of support during the past 12 months, during the past year. So let's say that was mom. Mom provided majority of support for the student during the past year. We will use mom's information then on the FAFSA application. If mom is remarried, we will use mom and stepdad's information on the FAFSA application. And biological dad, we don't need your info. Okay. So who provided majority of support? That's the parent that will be on the FAFSA. It doesn't matter who claims who on their taxes. Doesn't matter. Okay. It does not matter. This is the change from before. It does not matter who they live with the most last. That's how it used to be. Now it goes off of who provided majority of support during the past year. Okay. I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions on that one at all? Okay. And again, that's going to be on our sheet here too. Okay. All right. So let's go through steps for contributors. This is how individuals will put their information on the FAFSA application. Step one, after a parent or student starts it, either a parent or a student can start the FAFSA application. It doesn't matter, one or the other. The individual will receive an email informing them that they have been identified as a contributor. So a student can start it and then they can do their information and they can send an email to the parent says, hey, you've been advised that you've been a contributor to a FAFSA. Okay, they've just been notified that you're going to be a contributor. All right, the contributor creates a studentaid.gov account. We'll go through that next. The contributor then signs in with their studentaid.gov account, their username and password, and then provides their information. So those basically are the steps. It's different from before where there is one fluid application. It's going to be role-based now. Okay, so these are the steps for the contributors here. First off, got to make a studentaid.gov account. The student will need one and a parent will need a studentaid.gov account. Can't share, okay? Two people will need one here, parent and the student, if we're dealing with a dependent student. We can go ahead and create the studentaid.gov account at the same website you do the FAFSA at here, studentaid.gov. Studentaid.gov is where you'll create that account, okay? Everyone will need to make one. Okay, that's how you sign into the account. And then that's how you sign in to make corrections later on. It's how you can sign in later to add a school code. If you decide to add a school, like maybe in January, you want to send it to another school. That's how you could do that. And then it's also how maybe you check on your FAFSA status later on. So it's a very important username and password. So guys, when you make your studentaid.gov account, I need you to write it down and keep it in a safe place because you will need this year to year. Super important, guys. Okay, write it down, keep it in a safe place. Now, when you create your studentaid.gov account, guys, they're going to ask you to link it to an email. Okay. Students, don't use your high school email account, please, because more than not, your high school will deactivate your email upon graduation. Okay. And we don't want that. So, because if you lose it the following year, we have to send a code to that email, and that's not going to do us any good. So you want to go ahead and link that to an email that you can get to on a consistent basis, a Gmail account, an iCloud account. Okay. So don't link it to your high school email account. I even cringe when parents link it to their work account. Okay. So just link it to an account that you can get to consistently. So just going over this, who needs a studentaid.gov account? Yep, student, you must create one for yourself. One parent will need to create one. If the we got two parents in the household, if you're married and you did a married filing joint tax return. Okay. Parents, if you're married and did a joint tax return, just one parent will need to create one because one parent will represent both of you by pulling in the taxes from the IRS. So just one parent will need to create one. One parent will need to create an ID if it's just a single parent that's been never married or widowed or separated or divorced. Obviously, just that one parent will need to create one. Okay. Now, both parents will need to create an ID if parents did a married filing separate tax return. Okay, because that means we're pulling in two tax documents into the FAFSA application. All right. And then both parents will need to create an ID if they're unmarried but living together. So obviously they probably did two separate taxes, or maybe one filed taxes and one did not. I'm sorry. Okay. So that's kind of a nice chart of who needs to create a studentaid.gov account. This is on our website as well. Okay. Who needs to create an account? Any questions on that one? I'm going to wait a little bit on my chat here. Not seeing anything. Okay. Parents, if you already have a studentaid.gov account, maybe you've helped older students with their FAFSA, or perhaps you've recently went to college and you've received financial aid and you've applied for FAFSA yourself. You've already have a studentaid.gov account. You're going to use your same one. You're going to use your same username and password for all your students. Okay. Think of your studentaid.gov account as your social security number with the Department of Ed. You'll use your same one for all of your students. Okay. All right. So as I was talking about before, this being a role-based form, okay, get back to the chat here. Here we go. Okay. Being a role-based form, I put this in here because I know my parents that I've helped a while back ago are used to one nice fluid application, meaning you go in, you do a student section, you do a parent section, submit. not so much anymore. Like I was trying to tell you before, how it goes is either a parent or student can start it, but it's in two parts. It's in two parts that meet up in FAFSA land. Okay. So this is a good way to explain it here on your screen. First, the student can go in with their username and password. They'll do their personal circumstances, demographics, their financials. They'll select their colleges and they'll do their signature. They're done. They log out. Okay. They invite their parent and they log out. Then the parent will log in with their username and password. They'll accept the invite, do their demographics, financials, and then sign and submit. Okay. The parent can also start it and then go ahead and do it the backwards, where they log in with their username and password, do their demographics, financials, invite the student, sign it, and then the student can log in then and then accept the invite and then do all their section. But just know it's two parts coming together in FAFSA land. It's not one fluid application anymore. Okay, that's the best way I can explain it. It seems like my new parents that were doing it really don't have any problem with. It's my ones that I helped, years ago. They're like, okay, why is this in two sections here? How come it's just not one application anymore? So, uh, being a role-based form, again, they're just referring to that. Who is a contributor, who isn't a contributor? Contributor, like I said before, is anybody who is required to put information on a student's FAFSA. Just a reminder, okay? A contributor is not grandparent, foster parents, legal guardians, siblings, uncles, anything like that. Okay, so student, if you are in a legal guardianship with grandparents, you're not putting grandparents' information on your FAFSA application. You're independent. You do not need that. Once all appropriate contributors have completed the questions for their role, the FAFSA will then be submitted. Okay, so role-based form, that is what is different. One other thing I'd like to point out about the FAFSA here is you must provide consent. This is something that's new over the last couple of years. All students and contributors must consent to having their tax information pulled in from the IRS. Okay. Even if you did not file taxes, you still must provide consent on the FAFSA form. And I did a screenshot of what this looks like, guys. All it is it's just like a lot of words here. Okay, just a lot to read, but it's just like, yes, I will provide consent that you can go ahead and pull taxes in from the IRS. You can use my federal tax information for FAFSA. All you have to do here, guys, is hit this little approve button. That's all it is. Okay, don't skip that approve button. Okay, because if you skip that approve button, it will result in an incomplete FAFSA form and the student will be ineligible for financial aid. So students, even if you did not file taxes, still you want to hit that approve button. Okay, you're providing consent to the FAFSA. Now let's talk about what to include for investments and what not to include for investments. This is our most commonly asked question that we get every day. So this is on our tip sheet on the side here. So investments include, okay, any real estate. This is going to be mostly for parents here. Investments include any real estate, but not the home you live in. Okay, do not include the primary place of residence. Investment real estate would be if you have maybe a rental property, okay, or if you have, I have a parent that I help every year that has hunting ground in southern Iowa that he rents out to hunters. Okay, that would be an investment property that we have to count on the FAFSA. Investments would include any trust funds, money market funds, mutual funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, and any 529 plans, educational savings plans. Now, if you do have a 529 plan for your student parents, that will go under you. 529 plans will go under the parent, even though it's earmarked for the student. Okay, so the 529 plans go under the parent section. All right. Now, what's not included? Investments do not include, obviously, the home you live in. Don't include that. Do not include any life insurance values. No retirement accounts. Please leave off your 401k, 403b. No pension funds, no annuities, no Roth IRAs, no IPRs. That all stays off. Okay, that all will stay off the FAFSA. Do not include your retirement on there. Okay. One other thing I want to include what stays off with this 529 plan. If you have a relative that has a 529 plan for your student, maybe a grandparent has a 529 plan for your student, that stays off. That is the asset of the relative, and you do not have to include that. Okay. Now, one big change. Super excited for this. Okay, there was a bill that was passed recently that changed this business and farm on the FAFSA application. This was lumped into it. This has gone back to what it used to be now. All right. Business and farm do not include a family farm in which the family resides. So if it's a family farm and the family lives on the family farm, stays off. No more do we have to count a family farm on the FAFSA application, but you must live on the farm. Okay. Business. All right. Businesses. Business that has 100 or fewer, a small business that has 100 or fewer full-time employees, don't count it. Okay. In years past, we had to include business and farm as an asset. We don't anymore. Yay. As long as it's a family farm and you live on the farm and the business has a small business and it's 100 or fewer full-time employees. Okay. And I just printed this off from FAFSA today, and I'm getting this wording right from the FAFSA application. A business that has more, business that with 100 or fewer full-time employees does not count. Okay, so I got this right from the application today. So that is a good change because for the last, I think it was for 3 or 4 years, we've had to count that. No longer is that included. So, and that's really good for, being here in Iowa, obviously. So, good change there. Okay. 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 So I have a question. Uh, if, okay, so I have a question. If students have investments in their names, can you move them to someone else's name, to parents' name to reduce percentage that they are accounted for at? Well, we don't want to we don't want to move assets, okay? Yeah, I will say this, okay? The day you submit the form, okay, that's what you have to include. All right. So the day you submit the form, this is what you have to, investments will include. All right. That's what I'll say. Right. So, yep. Okay. Moving on. All right. As we go ahead and file that FAFSA application, next we have the student aid index. Comes after you file that form, and at the end, an amount will pop up called an SAI, or a student aid index. This index will determine eligibility. It will just say, okay, will just determine what type and how much of aid that your student will qualify for. This index can be anywhere from negative 1,500 all the way up to 999,999. Okay, so colleges will look at this and they'll say, all right, based on this SAI, we can offer you this much financial aid to come to our college. Okay, so it remains the same regardless of the cost of college. So if the college costs, $150 per credit hour, or if it costs $63,000 a year to go, it remains the same. The cost of college does not dictate that SAI. Right? It's going to be the same. Okay, so I would like students to hang on to the email that they receive of this SAI, because there are some scholarship committees out there that are need-based. The scholarship can say, all right, student, we have a scholarship out here that you can apply for, and the SAI and you have to have an SAI of 10,000 or below to get this scholarship. Okay, so let's say the student applies for the scholarship, they win, and then the committee will say, all right, you won this scholarship, great. All right, we need proof of that SAI. So if they have that email from Department of Ed stating what their SAI is, then they can hand that in for proof that they have an SAI below 10,000, providing proof and securing that scholarship. So hang on to to that confirmation page because that will include their SAI. That SAI is also on their FAFSA submission summary. At any time, a student can log into their FAFSA with their username and password and go ahead and print out their FAFSA submission summary. It's just a summary of all the information that they input into that FAFSA application, which also includes their outcome, their student aid index. Okay. They will also get an email of this FAFSA submission summary about 3 or 4 days after they submitted their FAFSA application. It's just a nice checks and balances to make sure that they can review it for accuracy, just in case they have to update anything later on, or if they made a mistake on it. Okay. So that's a good point too. If guys, if you make a mistake on this, don't worry. Okay. You can always correct it later on. If you make an honest mistake, it's all right. There are such things as corrections. You can always go back in and make a correction to that FAFSA at any time. Okay. So not a problem. Now, one thing with special circumstances. Okay. With special circumstances, this is something where your current income does not accurately reflect the tax year that you're using. Keep in mind that, guys, for seniors, you're using 2024 taxes, but that 2024 taxes is for the 26-27 academic year. There's a lot of time that goes by in between there. Something could happen. What happens if a parent loses a job, or somebody, unfortunately, in the household falls ill, or there's a change in marital status, something that takes the income in 2024 on the taxes and it drops it drastically for in 2026. That's called a special circumstance. Okay. We can't change anything on the FAFSA because remember that that's being pulled in from the IRS. We couldn't change anything if we wanted to anyway. Okay. It's automatically being pulled in. So what we have to do is you have to contact the college that the student is planning on attending. And you have to say, hey, I know this is what it looks like on our taxes, but here's what happened in the meantime. This is the income that we're working with right now. So the FAFSA wants to evaluate your current income situation. That's what's fair. So that's called a special circumstance. That's going to allow the college to go in, and make an adjustment to the outcome of your FAFSA and say, okay, based on this information that you provide the college, maybe any current pay stubs, W-2s, an explanation of what happened. Based on this information, they can go in and make that change. If there's a drastic enough difference, they can change that outcome to make it fit your current situation, hopefully making the student eligible for more financial assistance. It doesn't happen a lot, but it's nice to know it's out there just in case. Because we're using prior tax year, and it's gone up a little bit, not by much. Back in the COVID years, it was used quite a bit, but it's nice to know it's out there just in case something happens, especially since we're using prior tax year. So just keep this in the back of your mind just in case something happens with income. Also, one note I like to point out is verification. After you file the FAFSA and it's sent off to the colleges, your FAFSA is done. Your financial aid may not be done. Students may be randomly selected for verification. It's just a checks and balances to make sure everybody's filing their FAFSA honestly and accurately. Okay. So what you want to do is encourage the student to make sure they're reading all the emails from the college, opening all mail from the college consistently, because that verification notice could come, through the email, through mail, what have you, just depending on how that college will correspond with your student. They could say, all right, student, we received your FAFSA, but we had to select you for verification. Before we award any financial aid, we need this, this, and this in our office. Most of the time, it's just, fill out a verification form. Perhaps they need a copy of a tax return, maybe a W-2, something like that. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. That takes place in the spring of the senior year. Okay, so you want to make sure and watch for the verification. Now, comparing award letters. Okay, this is like something that I really like to do. And this goes obviously the spring of the senior year when the award letters start rolling in. If a student does not receive an award letter from the college, just know that perhaps the student did not apply for admission to that college. Some colleges do not send out award letters to the student until the student has applied and been accepted. Others will just send out award letters no matter what. Some do not. Okay, so just kind of know that. But this financial aid offer review, some colleges may respond electronically through a communication port, through the student portal. Right, watch for that. Most will just mail those out to the student, okay, in a letter format. And what it will show is all the grants and loans that they can offer the student. Every kind of scholarship will be on there. And you want to review those items. We want to review those items and respond if necessary. What that means basically is you do have a question on those, contact the financial aid office and they will go ahead and review that financial aid offer with you. Now, here is that tool that I was talking about that I utilize, this for college funding forecasting tool. I go online at iowastudentloan.org/forecaster. And what that will allow us to do is to find the college that you're going to, and it already has all the information in it in terms of the college's tuition, room and board, that's already plugged in. And then all we have to do is go ahead and put in what the college offered as far as grants, scholarships. Then we put in our loan amount. Then we're going to put in, what we received in additional scholarships, maybe from the community, from the school, from the high school, and then what we're going to contribute, maybe from a 529 plan, maybe from a cash payment arrangement, something like that. And then it will map it out for 4 years for you. Okay. So you can see, and then they'll do just gradual tuition increases. So it's realistic. So it'll map it out for us. So once we do the first one, we can print it out. Then we'll do the next one and we'll print that out. And then we can really compare the out-of-pocket costs for each college. It's a real eye opener. I really love that forecasting tool. So anytime I have parents come in, we go through it, and if we do have to borrow for, let's say, additional funding, like a Parent Plus loan or a private loan, this is the time when we look at our expenses and we say, okay, what can we start cutting? This is the time when I get out my red, pretend this is red. This is when I get out my red pen and I just start, hey, let's pay cash for books. Let's take off this transportation fee. Are you even going to take a car to college? That's where we start crossing out these expenses. To give you an example here, this is kind of what a sample award letter would look like. So we got tuition fee, room and board here, housing and food, books and supplies, on all this stuff, and Pell Grant, scholarships here. And then here's the federal direct loan, 5,500, which tells me this is an incoming freshman student. And then here, yeah, we're short. So it's telling us that we have a private or a plus loan to do the gap funding. Okay. Well, if we have to do gap funding and maybe we can't do a cash payment arrangement, if we do have to borrow extra, let's go up here to these indirect costs and see what we can start crossing out. Do we have to take, do we need this personal stuff? No, that's going to be, like clothing, toiletries. We don't have to, borrow for that. We can pay for that as we go. Same thing with transportation. Are we even taking a car to college? And if we are, well, we'll just pay for oil changes, new tires, things like that as we go. If we do have to borrow for that gap funding, we're not going to do that. We're just going to pay cash for that. And same thing with books and supplies. Can we get cheaper books? Can we rent books? Can we go to Amazon, Chegg.com? Do we have to go to the bookstore and pay full cost for those? Can we get used books? There's just ways that we can go ahead and bring down the costs for each one. Right? So this is just an example award letter that I like to go through and just start, crossing out, figuring out where we can cut costs and cut corners to make this, as manageable as possible here. Okay. One other thing I want to note when we go through award letters, and this is just really just having students and parents looking at the cost of college. In our booklet, starting on page 8, where we listed all of the colleges here in Iowa, some of the colleges will start out with what they call the sticker price again, of upwards of 39,000, 52,000, $35,000. Okay, I get that. That's the sticker price for tuition and fees. Okay. So we have, you know, 37,000, 44,000. Okay. I get those. That's the direct cost. Okay. That's the sticker price. So when comparing those colleges, based on another college, say College B here, it was 23,000. There, those are sticker price. I don't want a student to look at that and go, oh, whoa, no, let's cross that out. I don't even want to apply to that college. Don't even send my FAFSA there. It's not worth it. It's just way too much money. Don't go that route. Send your FAFSA there. Put your application in there. If you toured it and you really like it, they have the major that you're interested in. If you like the campus, go ahead and apply. Put your information in, because you never know what that college is going to come back to you on that financial aid offer in terms of grants and scholarships to try and even out the cost for you. Okay. So for example here, college A starts out at 43,900. College B starts out at 23,000. Well, college A could come back and say, "All right, student, we can offer you 27,200 in free stuff." So that means that remaining cost, is 16,700. College B says, "All right, well, we're going to put our best foot forward and we're going to offer you 63,50." Okay? The remaining cost right there is 16,50. So when it all shakes out here, the the true out-of-pocket cost, that you may need to borrow is relatively the same. So you never know. Okay, so go ahead and put your application in and put your FAFSA in for all colleges that you're interested in. Okay. Now, here's what can be on those award letters. We got federal, state, and institutional sources, and then private scholarships. Okay, so first off, from the federal government, there can be a Pell Grant. Not everybody gets a Pell Grant because it's a need-based type of aid. All right, so need-based aid means the lower that SAI, the more Pell Grant, the more Pell Grant, or the more need-based aid a student can be eligible for. So Pell Grant, this is another type of grant, FSEOG grant, work study. It's a good job on campus. And then we have direct loans and the plus loans. Okay. So right here, these three right here are need-based. And every student qualifies for a direct loan unless they're in default with a student loan already, or, have some eligibility issues with academics. But, obviously incoming freshmen aren't in default with student loans, so they're good to go. Plus loan, parent plus loan. This is a loan in the parent name only. Okay, and then I have a slide for that here coming up. So let's talk first about the student loans here. You see these direct loans are subsidized and or unsubsidized. Subsidized means that the government is paying the interest on that portion of the loan while the student is going through college. Okay, throughout their college career, government's paying that interest. Unsub means that the college or the student is responsible for that interest as they go through college. So the accrual there, the student is responsible for that interest. Currently, that interest is at 6.39%. This is for the students in college right now for the 25-26 academic year. The interest rate will adjust every July 1st. Okay, so interest rates will adjust. Hopefully they'll go follow suit with everything else that's going on right now and drop for next year for the 26-27 academic year. Okay, fingers crossed. Okay, so how do we know? If it were me, I'd take all subsidized. I don't need any unsub. Let's do all subsidized loans. That's me. Well, unfortunately, we don't get to pick and choose. Subsidized is need-based. The outcome of the FAFSA will dictate whether or not the student will receive any subsidized at all. Okay, so how will we know? It will be on the financial aid offer. The financial aid offer will say, student, you get 5,500 for your incoming freshman year. This part is subsidized, this part's unsubsidized. Or maybe you qualify for just unsub. Okay, so it'll be on the financial aid offer from the college. That's how you will know what you qualify for. Okay, so you sometimes will see direct loans called Stafford loans, but they're direct now. You'll see here for freshmen 5,500, sophomores 6,500, juniors and seniors 7,500 per year. Those are the annual loan limits for dependent undergrad students. Okay, and here are the maximum amounts for subsidized: 35, 45, 55. Okay, all right. Okay, so those are loans in the student's name only, no cosigner, no credit check. Parents. Okay, let's say we have a funding gap, and after all grants and scholarships are exhausted, we're doing a small cash payment, but we still have to borrow. Okay, here's one option, a Parent Plus loan. This is another federal loan, but in the parent name only. One thing I want to tell parents, this can never be transferred to the student. You can never transfer this over to the student's name after graduation, or when a student, let's say they put their loans into a federal loan consolidation, you say, hey, student, why don't you put my plus loan in there too while you're at it? No, this stays in the parent's name from disbursement all the way through repayment. Okay, this is a mom and dad loan all the way through. This loan is at 8.94%, a little bit higher for the 25-26 academic year. And there's also fees involved. So if we borrow amount, you don't get the whole amount because some of it will go to fees. There's a parent credit check involved with this as well. Okay, so that's one option. I want you to know there's other options out there. Okay, so this is the federal option. But parents, if you got good credit, hey, let's look around. Let's look around for some private lenders first. So depending on credit, private lenders may provide a better interest rate and fewer fees. That's important. So many private lenders have no fees, no origination fees, which is really, really nice. Okay. Um, and one quick question, are there fees on a direct Stafford loan? There's still a small fee on a direct Stafford loan. Yes, good question. Yep, a very small one. Like 1%, I believe. Point something. I'll find that fee. Yep. Okay. Yep, yep. Okay. Yep, I'll find that for you. Okay. Um, let's see here. Okay, we're met. So if we have, depending on credit, private lenders will have a better interest rate. So here's private fixed interest rates as of September, just to give you an idea of what's out there. Okay. Um, ISL education lending, Sally Mae, College Ave, SoFi. These are just some examples. Now, are we pointing you to one? I would say start with the first one, ISL Education Lending first, and then check out others. Sally Mae, College Ave, just because ISL is a local lender. Okay, so they're local first. So these are going to be better interest rates, as opposed to the federal one right off the bat if you have good credit. Also think of the repayment options too. Some of these come with borrower benefits. Some of these could have cosigner release options. Remember, a Parent Plus loan is in your name only. These loans could be in a student name with a parent cosigner. Once the student then goes into repayment, and if the student makes, let's say, 25, 24, successful consecutive payments and has, passes a good credit score, there could be a possibility that the cosigner could be released. Maybe that's a borrower benefit. Okay. So check out the borrower benefits on these different loans as well. All right. So that could be a possibility, or there could be interest rate break if you sign up for an auto debit repayment too. So these have borrower benefits as well. Okay. Now, state of Iowa aid. Okay, so state of Iowa aid here. Um, let's see here. State of Iowa, it could be the Iowa tuition grant if a student is going to an Iowa college. They may qualify for an Iowa Voc Tech grant, a Kibbe grant, a Gear Up, or the Last Dollar Scholarship. This does not cross state lines, guys. So this is Iowa students going to Iowa colleges. So I want to make that very, very clear. Iowa kids going to Iowa colleges. These grants and scholarships only require a FAFSA. That's it. Okay. So a lot of students, know about this last dollar scholarship. So they're like, where's the application to that? The FAFSA. The FAFSA is the application to these. So that's really good. So if you want to find out more about these different types of types of aid, go to icansucceed.org/IA aid. Okay. That's where you can find out more about these. And they're also right here in our booklet as well. Okay. With a nice chart. This is with it. Okay. Next, we have institutional aid. Okay, this is the college's own grants and scholarships that they can offer to the student. This is based on need and merit, meaning the outcome of the FAFSA, or the student must do something good in order to achieve that aid. Maybe high ACT score, GPA, extracurricular activity, merit-based scholarship as well. Depends on school funding. I want to point that out. So get that FAFSA in by that financial aid priority date, because if you file that FAFSA after the date, the funding could be depleted by then. All right, and we're out. So we could have got something that we lost something that the student was originally entitled to. So get it in by that financial aid priority date. Right. And that's the college's own grants and scholarships, and now private scholarships. So where can we find these private scholarships? So we're seniors, we should be looking for these and applying for these right now. First, I want you to check with your counselor. Go to your counselor's office and just ask for any local scholarships. Ask your counselor, hey, do we have any scholarships earmarked just for our high school graduates? Because think about it, guys, you're competing with a much, much smaller pool of applicants for that free money versus nationwide or even statewide scholarships. So local first, that's important. After that, college and university. For those of you touring your colleges still, pop into that financial aid office and ask for any scholarships that are earmarked for incoming freshmen or scholarships that are earmarked for the major that you're going into or program that you're going to go into. Okay. Also look on their website under the financial aid homepage. They should have those college the scholars I'm sorry, college scholarships listed on their financial aid homepage for you. Employers. Now, parents, do you work for a college? Do you work for an employer that may have a scholarship available for your student? Check with your HR department to see if that's an option. Same thing with students. Do you guys have a part-time job that might have a scholarship available? Okay, you never know. It doesn't hurt to ask. Professional religious organizations, your church, your place of worship, they might have a scholarship available. And local businesses, okay? Who do you bank with? Your bank, your credit union, your insurance agent, they might have a scholarship available, okay? You never know. I'm going to give you an example here. I have Farm Bureau insurance. Guess what? Farm Bureau has a scholarship for their customer students. And I just went ahead and printed this out and put this on my website or my webinar here just to give you an idea of what to look for. Guys, if I'm a student right now, I would grab this scholarship, even if it's not even out. If the new application isn't even out yet, I'd grab last year's scholarship just to look at the requirements and just to see what I need to have. Okay, so if I'm a senior right now, here's what I'd be looking at. Okay, when is it due? It's due January 31st. Okay, so the beginning of the year, got it. All right. What do I need to have? You need to have at least a 2.5 on a 4.0 scale. Got it. Okay, what else? Involved in school activities. Got that. 4-H, FFA. Demonstrate leadership abilities. Leadership abilities, I see that popping up on more and more scholarships all the time, guys. So if you're already in school activities, I want you to try for president, vice president, captain, co-captain, something like that, because leadership, that speaks volumes. Okay, try for leadership roles on your school activities. Volunteer efforts, your silver cord. You know, how many volunteer hours do you have? This one requires an essay. Guys, I want you to start working on your essays. Okay, and this is also a tip for lower classmen too, for you guys that are in your creative writing classes, your English classes, anything where you're writing essays. Keep your good English papers, because who knows, you might be able to tweak them a little bit and make them fit a scholarship essay. Okay, but start writing your essays, and then 2 letters of recommendation. If you haven't already, I want you to be thinking, who could write me a good letter of recommendation? A counselor, a teacher, a coach, an employer that you do a really good job for. Okay, ask them for that letter of recommendation. You're going to keep it, make copies of it, because you're going to need these for several scholarship applications, if not for the actual college application itself. Okay, so this is just going to give you an idea of what they typically will ask for. Okay, so have those ready to go. Okay. Also, on our website at icansucceed.org, back to that website that we have our own database that you can go on and look at scholarships and broken up by, all majors, all kinds of things. So go on our website at icansucceed.org/scholarships. And we also have links to online searches too. Okay, so you can use those online searches and then the apps as well. Okay, so that's icansucceed.org. Okay. Now, other types of financial aid, let's see, yeah, additional types of financial aid. Now, this is a couple extra applications. Not everybody has to fill these out, okay? The first one is the Iowa financial aid application. All right, so this is the eligibility wizard. It's at icansucceed.org Iowa app that give you a link right to it. This Iowa financial aid application, you could go through the eligibility wizard to see if you qualify for any of these types of scholarships or grants. Now, most of these are geared toward TRIO participants, homeless youth, alternative high school program students, or graduates. Also, there's a scholarship for National Guard students, education training vouchers, and then gap tuition assistance program. So they're not for everyone. Certain students can apply for these. So if this fits you, then you can go ahead and apply for this. This is the Iowa financial aid application. Also, that CSS profile that I was going to talk to you about before, that is an online application used by colleges and scholarship programs to award non-federal financial aid. This is only used by about 400 selective colleges. Think your Ivy League colleges. Okay, so they want you to fill out a FAFSA, but then they want you to fill out this extra, intense, I call it, FAFSA application. So this is just for more, to see, they ask you about, this is where they ask you about your home values, your investment, the value of your cars, your retirements, things like that. So again, this is about for more selective colleges. So if your college asks you for a CSS profile and you need help or assistance completing that, we also help you with this. This takes about an hour to complete, and then we can help you do the CSS profile as well. So your next steps, okay, so what you want to do as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a clear list of next steps, what you should be doing. Right now, guys, you should be applying for institutional and private scholarships. Again, these could make a big difference in reducing that overall cost. Okay, so try for that free money first. Okay, free money first. So many of them can be found, at the college. Look at your high school. Okay, go local first, and then through the community. Okay. Next, you want to go ahead and create your account at studentaid.gov. Remember, you need a studentaid.gov account and a parent will for FAFSA. File the FAFSA here. That's coming up shortly. Sign up for an ICANN appointment. If you need help, we'll do it for you. Okay, we can do in person and virtually. And stay on top of the process, meaning if you're selected for verification, make sure you're reading your emails and opening your mail on time. So if you're selected for verification, you can get that paperwork into them and it's not going to hold up the financial aid process. Places for help, I was going to tell you about, obviously your first step, first line of defense, your school counselor. Okay, so always pop into your school counselor for assistance. You can always call your college admissions financial aid officers. They're there to help you. And then our ICANN office too. Okay, so here's all different our different offices. Again, I'm at the Ankeny location. Okay, we have some. Eric will be down at the Des Moines Area Community College or in Des Moines Consumer Credit on the south side of Des Moines. So that's just kind of the south side location here in October and November. That's where he'll be doing FAFSAs during FAFSA season. But we're also in Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Sioux City, and Council Bluffs as well. Okay. Again, no charge for our services. Also, guys, you want to just sign up for some alerts too. Here's what you could sign up for icansucceed.org video tip alerts. They're also by grade level, so they're specific to freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors. Event alerts, reminders like for different college fairs coming up, military fairs. And then we'll get you signed up for those if you click, just take a picture of that QR code there or scan that QR code. A couple other things you can sign up for that are helpful. This is an email service for parents and students in 8th grade through 12th grade. It's called sp3.org. This is an email service that is designed to help parents and students plan for education and training after high school. It's going to send out 2 emails per month on relevant topics. So it's sp3.org, and it will also be entered into quarterly drawings for 529 plan deposits. So that's kind of nice. So right there. So 40 winners of 250 deposits for each quarter. Okay, so that's something that you guys, parents and students, can sign up for. It's sp3.org. More money right here. Here's 45 $1,000 deposits. And this is just a drawing. This is just a, let's see, what it is. What is it? Chosen through random drawings. It's an ISL Education Lending Scholarship, but it's just a random drawing. Okay, you just sign up for it. It's open to Iowa residents who are high school students, undergrad, college students, and parents and guardians who hold an iSave 529 plan. It's formerly known as the College Savings Iowa, and it's open right now. So the time frame is from September 4th through December 2nd. And what you need to do is go to this website here. It's iowastudentloan.org/college savings. And you could go ahead and register for a random drawing. And in addition to that, you could get a chance to win 45 times to win $1,000 deposit. You'll also get tips and email tips throughout the program too. Okay, so there's that. And then one other thing here, a virtual texting program here. This is something from the Iowa Department of Education. We told them we put that out for them. This is how you can connect with a college coach via text, help navigating. So lots of tools we're putting out here for you that can help you with the financial aid and college prep process. So this is for students and parents grades 9 through 12, and you could sign up for text message support through college going process. Okay, so scan that QR code. Okay, and this is the last, oopsie, sorry. So this is the last slide I have here. So before we close, I just want to share with you how you can continue supporting us because we are a nonprofit organization. Everything that we provide to students and families is made possible through like donations and community support. So your contribution is helping students really create a plan for future. So we ask people to consider making a donation if you can. So every donation ensures I can to help with our resources needed to provide booklets to counselors to travel across the state and provide information in person, virtually, or in our office as well. So if you'd like to give, go ahead and scan that QR code here, right here on the screen, or you could go anytime to icansucceed.org/give. And so by donating, you're helping us as an organization, but you're also helping the students succeed in their careers too. Okay, so I thank you. So I hope you were able to get a few good takeaways from this information today. If you have any questions, I know we went over a lot of information in a short amount of time. I get that. Please don't hesitate to reach out. So we're here for you. Um, and I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. And, if you need help, let us know. And I wish you good luck as you move forward in your next steps in the financial aid process. So have a good evening. Thank you. Okay. What is this? What is the fee?